right, we're live. Hi, everybody. It's me, Pugs, live from the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios in the beautiful south side of Chicago. We do this every day around about 12 o'clock. It is just a daily conversation with a very fun chat room. We like to welcome one and all to mix it up with us. Yesterday, I screwed the pooch concerning the chat room, and you guys, I owe an apology to. There was a lot of chat room chatter about a topic that I was just ranting on, but the show was going late yesterday and I didn't look at the chat room, and I really should have, because, you know, after the show, I like to go back and I like to read the things that I missed. And I oftentimes I'm like, oh, I really should have engaged there. So I apologize for that, but I would like to mix it up with the chat room today. That really did make a mark on me last night. I'm like, look at all of these comments we could have chewed on, and I didn't. So moving forward, I'm going to try and be more dedicated to the chat room. So please bear with me, and I do apologize. Every day, speaking of the chat room, we like to reward what we called the podium ceremony. It's very much like what they do in F1, where they kind of give flowers to the first, second, and third place finishers. So we do that with the chat room. The first, second, and third place people in, they are our podium. So let's check out our podium for the day. Let me see here. First in today. Look at that. We got Big Al. Big Al. Big Al. Al's not that big. I mean, Al's not small, but Al is like the rare Al, where you can't really, you know, it's not really obviously Big Al. It's just like normal sized American man Al. Anyway. All right, Big Al is first. Second, we got Barney. Look at Barney. God, I love seeing Barney. Seriously, people like what? Never mind. Not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. I hate when I start naming specific names of people in the chat room like I was about to do there, because inevitably I'm going to forget somebody who's equally as important, and then they may not even notice, but I will, and it'll bother me. So thank you to everybody. Thank you to Barney for being number 2. And number 3, Dassip 2000. Now, I've seen Dassip. Is Dassip somebody we know with a new name? Like, is this Byron? Is this Byron because he's been banned again and now he's... Anyway, I don't care. Welcome, Dassip 2000. Love seeing you. Let's see. Who else do we have in the chat room in the early goings here of the show? We've got, of course, we've got Peter. We've got Apes. We've got Jen. We've got Mikey D. Leslie C. The regulars are... There's Taronda. Where you been, girl? This is out of character for Taronda. That's okay. Love seeing her. Byron's there, the Dark Lord. That's what we call him. Of course, we talked about Al. All right. I don't see Adam. There's some people missing. That's okay. We'll do a full accounting later in the show. We'll get to them. Today, we got a lot of stuff we got to get to here. Of course, I've been bringing you up to speed on my personal situation. I got to say, guys, you know, my kid's here with me, spending the summer with me here, and we are staying here at the Southside Studios, the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios. The studios are attached to a fully functioning home, so we're living here, and it's been great. Although I don't see him much. He's a teenager, and he's in his room, and yeah. So anyway, we're having a good time. It's me and the boy. Although I have to say, last night, man, we had this. Never mind. You know what? I almost went into it. You know, I like to be very improv here at the beginning of the show. I almost went into it. I don't want to go into it yet, because I'm certain over the next couple of months, I'll have ample opportunity to talk about my son and his cell phone. So first of all, I still call it a cell phone. That's me. That's who you're dealing with here. But okay, I gotta whisper. I don't know why I'm whispering, but deal with it, okay? He might be in the next room now. I don't know. I thought that I had heard somebody come down the stairs, so I gotta whisper. So last night, we're having a very nice evening. We're watching the storms roll in, and we're watching the planes land at Midway. We got a nice little balcony. We're just kind of sitting out there, and we're talking, and it's gorgeous. And I'm talking to him, and I'm not looking at him because I'm looking around. I'm taking in everything. And I asked him a question, and he's literally sitting 3 feet away from me in a chair on a balcony. And I turn to him and I say, "So, And he goes, huh? He was in his phone. He was in his phone the whole time. I'm having this dad-son moment, and he's looking at his phone, and there's beauty all around us. Well, that's just their generation, I guess. We broke them. We broke them. We broke them. They cannot have a moment of actual just looking at the world, because there's always something more tempting for them to be looking at on their phones. It's terrible. Terrible. Anyway, it has been a nice couple of days, and I couldn't be happier. A little stressed out because if you pay attention to the scroll down there below, that is what we're at. We're at Pledge Week, and I want to thank our first Pledge Week people. That's right. We're calling them Pledge Week heroes. Normally, we like to reward the title of executive producer. That's for normal weeks. But now, during Pledge Week, we reward the Pledge Week heroes. We'd like to add Tracy D, Peter, Barney, and Mama freaking B. Thank you so much. Our Pledge Week heroes. We need to raise money. Dig deep, drop in. I'll have a number maybe tomorrow, because wasn't going really well. Pledge Week so far isn't going real well. And Pledge Week now seems on this show to run into about 5, 6, 7, 8 days. We do it for about 8 days now. Anyway, we'll get to it. Thank you to everybody who's helped so far. That, of course, is Tracy D, Peter, Barney, and Mama B. You guys are awesome. If you want to help and add your name to that list as a Pledge Week hero, please, at any point during today's show, or just whenever it's convenient for you, think of us and drop a little something there in either the Venmo or the Cash App. That's how this show goes. Think of us as your local public radio doing a pledge drive, except we don't give you any stupid tote bags. You don't need a tote bag. You've got a room in your house or a closet that's just got like 50 tote bags. You don't need any new tote bags. So, but what you do need to know is that you are supporting a kind of talk radio that doesn't exist anymore, a kind of talk radio that doesn't follow talking points from either the right or the left. It's just a middle-of-the-road centrist guy who's nonpartisan, talking about the world as it unfolds before him. That's what we do here every day. So thank you, folks, for allowing this to happen. It's a very tenuous situation, as I like to say every week, but or every month around this time. But that's okay. We'll get there. We'll make it. All right. Who else is in the chat room? Let's say hi to anybody got anything to say? Everybody's just saying hi. I like that in the beginning. All right. I can go with this. Peter the Great and April the Magnificent. I don't like April the Magnificent. It's too wordy. It doesn't roll. Peter the Great rolls. Auntie April. I like Auntie April because I like to think of her as sort of, anyway. I like to think of her as Auntie April, I guess. All right. Let's see. Jen saying hi to April. I like that. I like that you guys all say hi to each other. Yep. Okay. So everybody's. Is April on our Twitch stream? We need to figure out a way to build up our Twitch stream. All right. There he is. There's Adam. All right. I always get worried. When specific people don't show up. So, April's loving the whispering talk. Really? Well, it's because I think the kid's in the other room, but we'll get past that. Trust me. I'll do a full show with normal talk. I promise. All right. Let's see. What do we want to get to here? Well, okay. So a little warm. Trying to manage the air conditioning situation here at the house. It doesn't need to be on all night, right? It doesn't need to be. Actually, most people, it should be on at night. Nah, it needs to be on when the sun is up, right? It needs to counter the humidity. So we got the air off right now because the boy isn't up yet, so we'll be fine. But it's a little bit humid here. I understand it's incredibly humid there in Dallas as well. We're getting massive thunderstorms, like starting 10 o'clock tonight and then not stopping. I don't know. I think until Labor Day. I think that's when it stops. But it's going to rain tonight. It's very humid, so we might have to put the air on. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway. Oh, there we go. All right. See, this is the one. I missed 2 calls from 2 people who are incredibly important to me. And I miss these calls because I'm not doing a lot with my phone. Now more than ever, I am like living my life without my phone because I'm trying to get my son to spend a couple of weeks without his phone, without everything being about his phone. So here we are. So I missed 2 calls from 2 very important people. I missed a call from Maddie, and I missed a call from Lacey. That's right, Lacey G. Lacey, actually, I have now missed over the last couple of months a couple of calls from Lacey G, and I need to call her back because I would hate for her to think that it's not personal. It's just selfish. It's me. It's personal for me. I'm just selfish about phone time. I need to get better at that. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, good luck with that. Al, good luck with me trying to get my kid to put his phone down. I know. Oh, it ain't going to be easy. Okay, so we're going to get into a bunch of stuff today. We'll cover the big news, we'll get you up to speed on Iran. Apparently something's about to happen there. Mention what happened there in Maine. Plantner, the guy running is a Democrat who's very problematic, but okay, he won. We nominated, so we'll get into that. Although I don't know how much more we'll talk about that, because why? Isn't that it? Now we got the actual general election. They got to worry about there. So whatever. Anyway, the guy with the Nazi tattoo, he was elected as a Democrat there in Maine. So we'll go from there. Also, the Karmelo Anthony verdict. We covered the very quick jury verdict that came yesterday in the trial of Karmelo Anthony. So we'll get y'all caught up on that. There was sentencing. What? I've never seen sentencing done like 20 minutes after the actual verdict is read. The sentencing is always like weeks later. There's always a sentencing hearing. I don't know. Anyway, expedient, I guess we can move on to the next thing. All right, so we'll get into that. What else? I got a story here about the worst dad ever. He's from Oklahoma, and his crimes have been adjudicated. So we'll dive into that. We'll find out what constitutes the deeds of the worst dad ever. Yesterday, I talked about this scam that you might be seeing on viral media, whatever it is, TikTok or whatever. It's called the screw scam. I didn't talk about it yesterday. I teased it yesterday, but I didn't talk about it because I got out of sorts. I started jumping around and I missed it. And I'm sorry, but I do want to talk about it. It is the scam that you're being warned about concerning when you pump gas at the gas station and how theoretically you're being ripped off by con men or, people who run the gas station. I don't know. Anyway, we'll get into the whole gas pump screw scam, and I'll explain what that is. And we'll talk about whether or not it's really something we need to be worried about, because I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Tanmaxxing is another thing I want to talk about today, because I'm kind of obsessed. Having a Gen Zer, I'm kind of obsessed with all of these Gen Z trends that seem real alarming to the rest of us. Looks maxing and talk about the phone stuff, but Tanmaxxing, it's summer. That's a new thing that's happening, and it's got people concerned about the youngsters. So we'll get into that as well. Also, we'll watch some trailers. I'll present to you a film that's coming out that looks very interesting. Did you guys know that there was a sequel? It's not being called a sequel. It's being called a continuation of the story. But were you guys aware that there was a sequel, for lack of a better word, to The Social Network coming out? I had no idea. Yeah, Mark Zuckerberg's all grown up in this one. All grows up. All right, so we'll talk about that new film. Plus, yesterday I also didn't tell you the documentaries that I've been watching. I've got 2 new documentaries that I want to hip you to. One of them is really interesting, and one of them is just great. So stay tuned for that. That and a whole bunch more, plus your comments, 3 vids, all of that good stuff. We'll do a full show for you today. What I like to end each and every show with, typically, is for crying out loud. Hold on. Yeah. All right. What I like to end every show with for the last couple of weeks, we're going to start with today, just because I got to get it out of my way. I just got to get it out of my mind. I got to talk about it a little bit, and then we'll be able to focus on the real stories of the day. Can't Beat Fun at the Old Ballpark is a segment that I do to end each and every show, and what we like to do is throw a spotlight on just some of the doings and happenings at ballparks around this great country of ours. Baseball, our pastime. I love it. Although I still don't know if I would honestly say it's my favorite sport anymore. I think football passed it a few years ago, but now, I don't know. This week, I don't care. Bears started mini camp, mandatory mini camp this week. I didn't give a shit about that because all I'm about is baseball. Now, let me set the stage for you here. We're going to do another Can't Be Fun at the Old Ballpark right here. That's right. We're starting the show out with it, but let me just explain to you what happened. So, I'm obviously a big White Sox. Oh my God. I was wearing this. Got to put this back. I was wearing it. That's a mistake. That's right. Good mojo. Got to wear the baseball cap for the game watching. Yeah, I'm sick. I'm sick and weird like that. Anyway. So obviously, that my White Sox are shocking us all. We're looking at this team. This team set the Major League Baseball record 2 years ago for most luck. The worst team in history. The worst team in Major League Baseball 2 years ago. And I am telling you, this team this year, I don't know how they lose to anybody. I'm looking at them. They started out the season like the 29th team in the power rankings. And now I think they're like 8 or 9. They've like cracked the top 10. Now, my White Sox obviously have, I should tell you this, the next 9 games, or more to the point, the next 8 games are hell week. We're calling this hell week for the Chicago White Sox because we've got the Atlanta Braves, the best team in baseball, without question. They are running away. What are they, 15 games over 500? We got the Atlanta Braves, then we got the Dodgers, and then we got the Yankees. So, yeah, this is kind of a prove-it week for us. And we're all like, do we belong? I don't know. So one of the other things I've been telling you about this team is there are a bunch of no-names. There are a bunch of no-names today. They're not going to be no-names in a year from now or maybe even later this summer. But currently they're no-names because they are the results of a complete teardown. Now, we saw the effects of the teardown. That was the worst team in Major League Baseball history. But while they were playing the worst schedule or performing worse than any team in Major League Baseball, their AAA team was then AA team and rookie ball team. The farm system was just jammed with Major League Baseball top 50 products. And guess what, prospects? And guess what? Well, they're all showing up. 12 rookies on this baseball team. The White Sox have had 12 players this year. So far, it's not even July. We've had 12 players make their Major League Baseball debuts, and a lot of them have been exciting. I've been telling you about Mooney, right? Mooney didn't come from our farm system. Mooney came from Japanese baseball, but he is a superstar. He's nursing a hamstring right now, so he'll be back. But he is a superstar who came out of nowhere. Then last year, we had guys like Colston Montgomery and Miguel Vargas kind of flash, where you're like, okay, these are real building blocks for the future. Sure, they're 22, 23 years old. They're just kids, but they are serious building. So that was last year, and everything was great. This year, I've told you about everybody from Mooney to Riku, the little Japanese guy we had out there in right field, to our pitchers, who all of a sudden are pitching prospects. Wait a second, they can't all turn out good, can they? Can they all be good? Because we started the season with no starting pitching, and we're like, wow. We're like, our starting pitching is suddenly great. Anyway, that's the backstory. So Major League Baseball, as a part of the Can't Be Fun at the Old Ballpark sort of thing that I do, Major League Baseball does a lot of things at the games. They have dog night. Everybody but the Texas Ranger has pride night, right? They have all kinds of theme nights. So last night at the White Sox game, it was 80s night. There was a whole 80s night. And what they did was all of the graphics, like the entire game. At first, I thought it was going to suck, but then I kind of enjoyed it because and my kid, who had never seen 80s baseball graphics and all of that stuff, he thought it was really cool because it's different. So the presentation was all 1980s kinds of, stuff, and everybody in the stands just like the 80s and all that. You get it, it's a theme kind of thing. So it's 80s night at the ballpark last night. And because it's 80s night, they decided to do a little gimmick. And they brought in Bob Costas. Bob Costas called the White Sox game yesterday with Steve Stone. It was a little stunt broadcast, but it was fun because there is no greater voice of baseball, at least for my life growing up, than maybe Bob Costas. Maybe Joe Garagiola and Tim McCarver, but Bob Costas was the voice of national baseball for me growing up, especially in the 1980s. So seeing him and having him do the game last night was fun because Bob Costas, the icon, the legend that he is for the most part retired these days, and he only comes out to do fun things. And so he came out and he did the play-by-play of the White Sox Braves game last night for 80s night because Bob Costas, the 80s, right? All right, so now this is where we get to Can't Beat Fun at the Old Ballpark, okay? And then we'll move into the regular stuff. I just got to share this moment with you. So of all those prospects that I told you about, all of the ones that, none of them are failing. Like, they're all like, my God, this guy's going to stay. Of all the prospects, we have been waiting on Braden Montgomery. Braden Montgomery is the five-tool superstar that we were promised. Now, we appear to have a superstar in third baseman Miguel Vargas. We appear to have a superstar in shortstop Colston Montgomery. And we appear to have a superstar in first baseman Munetaka Murakami. But now we've got the real superstar, the guy we've been waiting for. Braden Montgomery was acquired in a deal with the Boston Red Sox where we gave them one pitcher whose season is over. Tommy John, he's done. He's not even playing. We gave them one pitcher and they gave us their entire minor league. And everybody that they gave us is a starter on the White Sox. And the one guy that we traded to the Boston Red Sox is out for the season. The Garrett Crochet to the Red Sox deal will go down as one of the great White Sox trades of all time. And when it happened, we were all like, what? What are we doing? Why are we giving away our best young pitcher? Well, this is why. So Braden Montgomery was sort of the centerpiece of that trade. He matriculates through the minor leagues the way these guys do. He absolutely dominates at every level, just as he's supposed to. And he was supposed to have been, or at least a lot of us White Sox fans thought, that he should have made the team. He should have broke spring training with the team. He should have made the 40-man roster. But for some reason, he didn't. They said, let's put him back down in the minors, and let's let him, get a little more. Oh, shit. Hold on. I'm not plugged in. Am I plugged in? No, I'm plugged in. So he spent the first couple of months down in the minors. Absolutely freaking raked. I mean, just insane hitting. So we're like, all right, let's get him up here. So we bring him up yesterday. This kid makes his Major League Baseball debut. This is a kid whose gimmick, and you can be cynical and call it a gimmick, or you can just say this is how he was raised. This is a kid whose gimmick is after games, no matter how dominant of a superstar he was, after games, he cleans out the dugout. Even though they have people who are paid to clean out the dugout, he does it as a part of his discipline ritual. So after the game, he takes the water jugs in, he collects all the bats. That's just a mental thing that he does. And we like that. That's a nice little gimmick. You could be cynical and go, oh, he's just trying to look like the all-American good boy. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Braden Montgomery came up to the White Sox last night. The White Sox are playing the best team in baseball. We don't think we're going to win this game. It's 80s night. We're there to have fun. Braden Montgomery makes his Major League Baseball debut. He walks to the plate in his very first appearance. Standing ovation. Thunderous standing ovation for this kid because we've been waiting for him. And yeah, all of these other players that have developed into real legitimate. We got 4 all-stars on this team. These other players who have developed into this, they're great. But Braden is the one we were waiting for. So he comes up to the plate. This kid, all 22 years old. He's shaking. Actually, he's older than that. I think he's 23, 24. Anyway, he's shaking. I should say I thought he was shaking. I'm like, he looks nervous. Goes down swinging. Standing ovation, doesn't matter. First plate appearance in Major League Baseball, he strikes out. It's all right. He was swinging hard. He was like, I want my first hit to be a home run because he's a home run hitter. And he was swinging hard, and it wasn't good. Second time up, gets his first base hit and his first RBI. Perfect. Good job. Shake them cobwebs off. Came up later. Did he get another hit? I don't know what he did. Whatever. It doesn't matter. He got his first hit and his first RBI in his very second at-bat. The White Sox, not a good game. First inning, 4-0. Atlanta Braves go up 4-0 in the first inning. Best team in baseball. We're like, oh, shit. And we're not even playing like Colston Montgomery, who we've got 2 Montgomerys. Colston Montgomery wasn't playing. I'm like, we got no hope for this game. Anyway, the White Sox battle back because that's what they do. They don't quit. They've got I don't want to say the number. They got some insane come from behind. It's like the Bears last year. The Bears were like this fourth quarter. Well, that's what the White Sox are. What are they? They got like 11 walk-offs? No, that's not 11, but it's something ridiculous. The amount of walk-off home runs that this team, not just home runs, key hitting. Anyway, it's been very exciting, and that's why I am excited. But I want to share this with you because you can't beat fun at the old ballpark, especially when this happens. Let me set the stage for you. Bottom of the 10th inning. Yeah, we went to extra innings. Bottom of the 10th inning. The White Sox are down 5-4. We got a man on first, I think. Yeah, I think maybe first, or maybe he's on second. I'm not sure. White Sox are down 5-4. 2 outs. Braden Montgomery steps to the plate. This is his major league debut.
But it's Montgomery.
Okay?
Perhaps.
This is major league debut. This is a kid who has all the pressure in the world on him. He's supposed to be the centerpiece. He steps to the plate in the bottom of the 9th with 2 outs. First Major League Baseball game in this kid's history. And not lost on me. It was lost on him, though. This kid gets Bob Costas for this moment. All right, watch this. Here it is. This is the kid, man. This is Braden Montgomery stepping to the plate. 2 outs, bottom of the 10th inning. Atlanta Braves up 5-4. Everyone, if you believe the old White Sox, everybody's headed for we don't win these games. This is family right here. This is his family. Could you imagine? I mean, the greatest moment of your life. You have waited your entire life. You bring they're not from here. They're not from the Midwest. Brought 30 family members in for this moment. And they saw it. They saw their son, their kid, their brother, their cousin, their nephew. Unbelievable. This is the family right here.
If I come back, we're not.
This is his brother. Look at his little brother. His little brother's like, oh my God.
Flashing back to another decade. If I come back, I'm coming back prepared to call a live game in the here and now.
Wait a second, you're going to do the 70s and the 90s yet. You just did the 80s tonight.
What a mixed bag for older Costas and Stone.
What a wonderful way to end this ball game. Bob, thank you very much for
Thank you, Steve.
joining all of us in the
so
booth.
Much fun.
By the way, a lot of great work by a lot of people, put in a lot of time to do this. We thank them all. And our final score.
All right, there you have it.
The White Sox 6.
You cannot beat fun at the old ballpark. And last night was just absolutely spectacular, man. I don't know what this team is, but it's good to not have the team from the last couple of years. And baseball, because it's 162 games, there are no promises. There's nothing that is assured. All you have is hope. And if your team can show you that they are worthy of your hope, well, that makes for a special summer. And that's can't beat fun at the old ballpark. Unbelievable for that kid. Such a nice kid. Oh, all right. All right, let's see here. What do we want to get into now? What's the first thing that we're going to talk about? I guess we'll go into Iran, right? So we got a situation with Iran yesterday. There was Monday. Was it Monday when the Apache was shot down over the Strait of Hormuz? And, we got to retaliate, proportionate or not. But the president is definitely saber-rattling about all this. Here's what the president had to say about what's about to happen here. That's right. More stuff happening. Oh, wait. Here, I got to get it for him. Oh, Jesus, I wish I had a producer. I don't have a producer. But here you go. Here's what the president had to say about what's happening in Iran and what is to come. Here we go.
You posted this morning about Iran. You said that they've taken too long to get to a deal. I want to make sure I quote you correctly. You said that now they will have to pay the price. Yeah. What did you mean by that specifically?
Well, we're going to be attacking them very hard.
Resuming bombing?
Yeah, well, we are. Based on the helicopter, I guess we have the right to do that. They shot down a very...
this is what I say about proportion. I guess we have the right to do that. I feel that proportionate responses just lead to more nonsense down the road. A proportionate response is you do this to me and I do an equal amount of harm to you. And don't think that the people who do it first, in this case, Iran, don't think that they're not completely anticipating what this next proportionate response is going to be. They know what bases are going to be targeted. They know what radar installations are going to be targeted. They know what airfields are going to be targeted. They know this. They know, and before they did the shooting at the helicopter, they knew that those would be targets. So I just don't it just goes on and on and on. A disproportionate response is what I'm waiting for. That's all. Regime change is what I've wanted this whole time.
Very incredible, actually an incredible machine. And at first they said they didn't do it, then they admitted they did it. It's sort of easy because we have the bomb. We actually have the bomb. Got very lucky that bomb didn't explode. That bomb was lodged in the helicopter. It didn't explode. It was on fire, but it didn't explode. It's just
Posted this morning about
all right, there you have it. So what did he say? What he used some very strange words there. Very, very serious response. Or what? Do I have the quote here? Oh, yeah. We're going to be attacking them very hard. Okay. All right. So we've got that to look forward to. Don't know when that's going to happen, but keep me posted in the chat room if we decide to, I don't know, just shoot a couple of missiles at Iran. I don't think this is going to be, he says we're going to be attacking them very hard, but, and then he says like, well, I guess we can do that. We'll see. We will see. This is the guy. I'm no fan of this guy, but he is the guy that will give me the disproportionate response that I think we as the world superpower need to, at some point, just say, stop it or else. Because the reason they never stop it is because of the proportionate response strategy that we've been living under for 50 years. We have the ability to end this. And I am not for sending American troops. I've been absolutely clear about that. I think there needs to be a coalition, boots on the ground, of all of those Middle Eastern states, especially the ones that are supposedly or theoretically our allies now. We can do this with Saudi Arabia and Jordan and all the other countries. We can create a coalition force and we can go in and exact regime change. But they're not willing to do it. They don't want it. It's them. They're not doing it. So maybe we need a president who can convince them to do it. I don't know. But that's the only way. That's the only way that I see. Now, I'm no expert, of course. I'm just a guy. I'm just a middle-aged loudmouth sitting here talking about this situation. But it seems like this is just another roll your eyes moment. They shot at a helicopter. So what are we going to do? We're going to we're going to blow up a plane on a tarmac. Why don't we take out their airport, their actual airport, not their military base? Why don't we take out all the streets in Tehran, right? Why don't we drop a whole bunch of leaflets and tell people that 1 week from today, we're going to flatten this place, so get out. Iran has been the problem for 50 years now. They have been the instability in the region. It seems like every other country has come to the table and been willing to at least do business with the West. Not Iran. Iran has always been the problem. Regime change is the answer, not some tit-for-tat proportionate response that will just ensure this goes on forever. Thank you. I've said my piece. All right, let's talk about Karmelo Anthony. Or wait, see, I just did what I said I wouldn't do. Let's see here. Barney says, I thought it was a Black Hawk yesterday. Apache is harder to shoot. I thought it was an Apache. Hold on, let's ask AI. I thought it was an Apache. What type of U.S. military helicopter was shot at by Iran over the Strait of Hormuz? Let's see what they say. Yeah, it was the Iranian military shot down a U.S. Army AH-64 Apache attack helicopter. All right, there we go. It's an Apache. This is kind of weird. Oh, this must be about the Tanmaxxing. Adam says, I do yard work shirtless and cycle jog outdoors. I don't know what that's. I guess that's about the tan. We'll get to the Tanmaxxing. Peter, I mentioned the screw scam. Peter says, we got screw worms in heat and now screw worms in gas. I don't know what screw worms in heat are. I don't know what that is. All right, as we move on to the Karmelo Anthony story, April has some information. She says only 6 states have juries that decide sentence instead of the judge in other states. Really? I guess I'm not a lawyer and I've never done any big crimes, so I guess I don't know how that works. I always assumed that there were sentencing guidelines. And that's why a judge and why there was a hearing, a sentencing hearing after the verdict is rendered. So I don't know. I'm going to trust April, though, because April's pretty smart. All right, let's move into the Karmelo Anthony story, because it kind of broke during the show yesterday, and I really didn't expect it. I thought that I would, be able to sort of consume any information that I needed on the Karmelo Anthony jury deliberations after the show yesterday. But no, 35 minutes. Didn't I say they wait at least an hour just to make it look good? They wait an hour. 35 minutes is all it took for a jury there in Collin County to decide that Karmelo Anthony was guilty of murder. As I say, you should probably wait an hour just to make it seem like you were slightly serious about the deliberation. They didn't. But truly, I would have voted guilty on the first ballot, right? I mean, is there any, I'm not going to play any of it either. I heard all the people, the Karmelo Anthony advocates, and I'm not going to call them fans, but supporters who were gathered, and some of the absolutely insane things that they said about this. This is a racist jury. It's an all-white jury, okay? I don't know that they're racist because they came back with a guilty verdict in a case that when you remove race from it, remove the colors. I mean, my God, isn't this open and shut? He stabbed to death another student in front of dozens of eyewitnesses. How is this something that is now another example of the racist court system? And I am not saying that there isn't some problem. Look, not everything is wrong. But in this case, man, come on. Can't normal people look at this situation and say, okay, 2 teenagers got into a fight at a track meet. One of the teenagers responded by plunging a knife into the chest of the other. I mean, guilty. I feel terrible. I mean, I'm an empathetic guy. I can look at Karmelo Anthony and I can say, wow, that's just really terrible that this had to happen. That's a young man who probably behaved reflexively as a young man might, without real consideration or thought for what was happening. He was just all about respect, right? Or whatever. And it spun out of control. And I can look at Karmelo Anthony, and as a parent, my heart can break for his mother, for his father, or whoever, the people that were there. But it doesn't matter. When I look at the Metcalfs, my heart also breaks for them. And there is nothing that is going to bring their son back. I mean, this is not a racial issue, but unfortunately, I don't like to use the word race baiting, but there was a lot of race baiting going on in this trial from the Karmelo Anthony supporters. Reverends of churches came from miles and miles away simply to get on camera so that they can say outrageous things that might bring a few more people to their church on Sunday. That's race baiting. When you use these kinds to amplify yourself. Yeah, and I know race baiting is one of those cringy words that you hear on right-wing talk radio, everything. But this really was. This was not a story about race. He didn't kill him because he was a white man. Austin didn't tell him to leave the area because he was a black man or a black kid. These were 2 kids. These are 2 kids who probably consider themselves alphas. They got into it, and one of them behaved in a way that puts him in jail for a long time. Open and shut. I feel terrible. My heart breaks for everybody involved. These are just 2 kids that got sideways, and one of them did something terrible. And we must acknowledge that something terrible happened. And that's what they did. And they didn't think about it all that much. Again, in front of dozens of witnesses, people saw this go down. By the way, black teammates of Austin Metcalf took the stand and testified to what they saw. And what they testified to was that Austin told him to leave, and then this guy responded by pulling a knife out of his backpack and stabbing him. He did it in front of people, and then apparently even admitted it to a cop during the arrest process, but that was not allowed in. All right, so here's what he got. Karmelo Anthony here. We have this. Is this an actual news story? Or is this, I don't know if I got video for you. I don't know if we need video on this one. After Anthony was sentenced by, 35 years, right? Let me give it to you. Karmelo Anthony was sentenced to 35 years in prison after being convicted in the murder of Frisco teenager Austin Metcalf, who was fatally stabbed during a high school track meet back in 2025. Following the sentence, Austin Metcalf's parents, twin brother, and other family members delivered emotional victim impact statements in the court. I hate those. Oh my God, those are rough. Apparently, Austin Metcalf's twin kind of got into it with Karmelo Anthony, demanding that he look at him. And then the dad of Austin Metcalf said something to Karmelo Anthony like, you can't even look me in the eye, but you could murder my son. Whoo, Following the sentencing, Austin Metcalf's parents, twin brothers, and other family members delivered emotional victim impact statements in court. The hearing included reactions from Metcalf's family, comments from prosecutors, and details about the case that drew national attention. 35 years. The Collin County jury convicted Anthony 19 of murder. Following the sentencing, Metcalf's family, we already went through all that. After Anthony was sentenced, several members of Metcalf's family described the lasting impact of his death and the loss that continues to plague them. Metcalf's aunt was the first family member to address Anthony. She said April 2nd, 2025 is a day she will never forget and recalled receiving a phone call from her sister, Austin's mother, that continues to haunt her. The impact of his death is permanent, the aunt said. We will never know what he could have been. She also spoke about Austin's twin brother, Hunter, saying, my heart breaks for his twin brother. Why could you not have just left? She asked Anthony. Reporters will move to other stories for our family. However, this is not a story. This is reality forever. Austin's mother, Megan Metcalf, reflected on raising her twin sons in the final moments that she shared with Austin before he left for the track meet. She said she packed him a snack and hugged him that morning, never imagining that it would be the last time. I try and tell you that your next breath is not guaranteed, man. That's why you hug. That's why you love. That's why when you have a fight with someone that you love, you fix that shit at the earliest possible moment, because these things happen to all of us. And there's no way to fix it. Holding grudges. Oh, no, I'm not talking to my dad. Really? You're an asshole. It says here, the mom, now I only have videos and memories of my son's laugh. You may have been given a sentence of 35 years, she said. You should feel lucky. I've been sentenced to a lifetime without my son. Then his dad talked, Jeff Metcalf. He described his son as a friend, a leader, and a warrior. Yeah. Never mind. I wouldn't have used the word warrior in this context. I think that seems... it says here, Jeff Metcalf, the dad. Who the fuck am I to criticize the dad's use of words? I'm sorry. That word kind of made me go, you know what? He's got carte blanche to say whatever he wants. Jeff Metcalf said that he recalled watching both his sons compete together and spoke about the scholarship established in Austin's memory. Jeff Metcalf also addressed what he described as harassment directed at his family following the case. Imagine the Karmelo Anthony supporters who decide that they're going to fuck with the parents of the kid that's dead. In what point of view, in what worldview, in what understanding of what happened would you ever consider the parents of the dead kid the enemy? Who are these people? My God. I mean, that's a radicalization of a different kind. Jeff Metcalf also addressed what he described as the harassment. Let's see. He said that he has been targeted for swatting 6 times and says that his mother, I guess they're divorced, his mother has been targeted twice. With a gag order, I can't defend myself when people want to tear down my son's memory, but that time is over, the father said. I said from day one, this was never about race. It's about right and wrong. We are all humans. We all bleed the same color. You will face those consequences starting today. Then speaking directly to Anthony, he said he has forgiven him, but believes accountability is necessary. He directly said this to Karmelo Anthony. This is the father of Austin Metcalf. You failed your parents, you failed yourself, and you failed society. You don't belong in this community. He then added, you can't look me in the eyes, but you can stab my fucking son. Ooh. All right, so that's over. I do not know whether or not this will have any spillover. There are a lot of people, mostly right-wing troublemakers, who yesterday seemed to be almost rooting for some kind of rioting. I'm like, it's Frisco. There's not gonna be any rioting. Are you kidding me? Any rioting in Frisco, okay? That ain't gonna happen. It's gonna have to be, if they're gonna riot in Frisco, they're gonna bring in mobs of people from other places, and they're gonna show up in Frisco, and everybody in Frisco has a gun. So don't do that. It's gonna be a crazy gunfight between a bunch of wealthy white people. Don't do that. So I knew there was nothing that was, were they going to burn down Stonebriar? Get out of here. You ridiculous. They're going to go to the Star and disrupt Cowboys minicamp? I don't think so. But I'll tell you, there's a lot of people that wanted it. They want the image of black people running through streets. And they love that. Those are the people that always make those videos go viral. But I knew that wasn't going to happen. I knew Stonebriar wouldn't burn. He only had 100 supporters. They said there was only 100 supporters there. This was not something that was ever going to turn into a massive, Metroplex race riot. There's 100 people showing up. And now if there was like 2,000 people, that might be a problem. But 100, you can manage 100. So let's hope, as I imagine, that this is not going to cause it, because it's such an obvious case, right? This isn't one where this isn't the Derek Chauvin case, right? Where we saw that and people were stirred up by what they actually saw. We don't have video of this, and all of the details, the facts, the indisputable facts of this case don't really lend much. I don't know that there's enough there for people to really risk going to jail because they're going to burn down. I don't see it. You can call this a racial crime, but I think that that's really stretching it. What this is a crime that just happened to concern a black kid and a white kid. And unfortunately, I guess for these times, it is the black kid who was the aggressor. So I will say this, the right did a lot to turn it into a racial thing too, because that's what the right wants. The right wants racial division. The right relies on white people voting for them and staying scared. That's how they get their votes. You're scared because I just ginned you up, and now you're going to listen to me because I'm the one that told you about it, so I obviously know how to fix it. That's the thing. And that was happening. Like, there were a lot of, like, Benny Johnson, right? These people from way out of the Metroplex just trying to stir the people up to cause fucking problems in a place where they don't live. But they get the clicks, and that's all it's about. By the way, pretty unfortunate for Chud the Builder that he's still in prison, huh? He'd have liked to have been there. He'd have been there. Missed opportunities. All right, that's the Karmelo Anthony verdict. We're also going to move on now to the Graham Plantner situation. He's the guy that's running for Senate, trying to unseat Susan Collins in Maine. Democratic Party was yesterday. Now, originally, he was supposed to be running against the governor of Maine, but apparently the governor of Maine dropped out of this race. So it was Plantner and a bunch of other people. So he won. He won in a landslide. He's now going to move on to the general election. He's going to face Susan Collins. And I got to be honest, this Plantner guy, he seems... I think he's, how do I say this? I am trying to tamp down the radicalism that seems to be rising up in American mainstream politics. I would like the radicalism to go away. I would like it to return to just smart, slightly corrupt people in suits with Ivy League degrees. I just think that was the way that shit ran better. This nonsense is just absolute. Did you see the inflation reports today? This is not working. Okay, whatever it was before, maybe it wasn't perfect, but it was pretty fucking good. We were the greatest country in the world, and all we did was complain about how we suck. And now we're an absolutely steaming garbage heap. Anyway, Plantner's going to run against Susan Collins, and Susan Collins is terrible. Don't get me wrong, and I don't advocate for her, but I might vote for her. I think this is going to ensure that Susan Collins gets reelected in Maine, which is not good. It's not good. They couldn't have run somebody who doesn't have a Nazi tattoo, who doesn't have a long history of telling chicks that they should just lay back and enjoy it. Okay, I know that was Bobby Knight, but yeah, similar thoughts, I guess, from Plantner. And, I don't know. And it also bothers me that he's another one of these rich guys like Fetterman who are, showing up in blue jeans and t-shirts and cosplaying like they're working men. That bothers me. I would like an actual union boss maybe to rise to the top. How about an actual guy who started out as an apprentice, has risen up in their electrical union? He is a leader of men. That's what I would like, not Graham Plantner, some guy whose rich daddy bought him an oyster farm after he got out of the military. What the fuck is that? And he goes around. This is what bothers me. He goes around. He's like, me and my wife only make $60,000 a year. We completely understand the struggles of the working class. Dude, you have a generational wealth safety net that you are not talking about. You making 60 grand a year is not as difficult for you and your lovely family as it is for a regular person who's only making $60,000 a year as a family. So just stop with the bullshit. It just seems all so disingenuous to me. But whatever. I guess if we can control the Senate and he's going to vote with the opposition, then maybe we'll put the president in jail. I don't know. Is that what we're going for? Just people we can count on to vote to impeach this guy so we can move forward to putting him in jail so that he dies behind bars the way I've been predicting for 2 years now? Can we do that? Anyway, there you have it. Graham Plantner going to go up against Susan Collins in the Maine general election. That's coming in November. We can stop talking about the Nazis and the tweets and all of that kind of stuff. All right, let's see. What else do we have? Oh, I wanted to talk about this over in Oklahoma. Excuse me. So up in Oklahoma, there was a trial going on. And, I saw this story last week. And I made a note. I was like, "Oh, let's see how that winds up because I might want to bring it back." So here we are. We're bringing it back. This is what I'm calling the worst dad of all time. Hold on. Billy gets it. Billy gets it. Susan Collins will be reelected because she's the known evil. Graham Plantner is the unknown evil. I think Bill's using one of my lines. People will reelect the people year after year, election after election, simply because they met them once. It was like, oh, I met them once and they smiled at me. They got my vote forever. It's the other guy's senator. You guys gotta kick your senator out or your congressman out. It's everybody else that sucks. My people are great. My congressman, he knocked on my door one Saturday and I'm like, oh my God, you're the congressman. And he's like, yeah, I'm running for re-election. Just wanted to say hi. That guy's so nice. He's got my vote forever. That's how it works. That's why congressmen get reelected all the time, because people like their congressman. They don't like anybody else's congressman. It's a broken system. So anyway, moving on. A story out of Oklahoma concerning the worst father ever. So this dad, 43-year-old dad. He's driving in rainy weather with his wife and 2 kids here. Who's he got in his car? His name is Elliot Lincoln Vinny. He's up there in Oklahoma, driving around in bad weather with his wife and kids. And apparently he's driving reckless. Don't know why he's driving reckless. And he's pulling off a vodka bottle, like with his wife and kids in the car. His wife and kids are in the car, and he's driving reckless in bad weather, and he's pulling vodka shot. Boom, boom. He admitted that. He's like, yeah, I was drinking vodka. A 43-year-old father in Oklahoma learned his fate yesterday for causing a rollover crash while driving with his wife and 3 kids, ejecting his 16-year-old daughter from the vehicle before fleeing on foot and leaving his child to die with her mom and siblings. This guy was drunk, wrecked the car with his whole family in it. His 16-year-old beautiful daughter, I'll show you a picture of 16-year-old beautiful daughter thrown from the car into the ditch. Dad sees his wife's head through the windshield, the rest of his kids screaming and crying, and his daughter suddenly missing and a giant daughter-sized hole in the windshield. And he decides his move as dad of the year is to fucking run. So he runs. He leaves the scene, this guy. Elliot Lincoln Binney, who had apparently admitted to taking a gulp of vodka just before the collision, was sentenced to 5 years in prison on Monday. He pled guilty back in April to charges of first-degree manslaughter, child neglect, leaving the scene of a fatal accident, and transporting an open container in connection with the death of Shelby Binney. Court records show. Here, I'll give you a picture of these two folks so you can see what we're talking about. This is the dad and this is the daughter who he abandoned. So let's just talk about who this guy is, okay? This is a human being who, when he causes great harm due to his own idiocy, who causes great harm to his family, the people he is supposed to protect at any cost, sees his daughter thrown from the car. This father's instinct isn't to stay with his family, call 911, get help, find his daughter who's been ejected. No. This man's instinct is to get the hell out of here and let these losers deal with this. That's what he did. He was finally arrested 50 miles away after, and this is weird. This is a strange way that they worded this. Apparently, he ran from the scene where his whole family was trashed. He then ran to a business and acquired another vehicle and drove 50 miles away. Now, I don't know what the details are on the acquisition of this vehicle. Like when they say he ran to another business, did he run to a business that he worked at, that he had access to vehicles there? Or did he run to a business and steal a car? Because they're not saying it's a stolen car. Just weird. He ran 50 miles away with his daughter dead in a ditch and his wife with her head through the windshield and his kids jacked up. He stole the car. I'm saying stole, but I don't think. He took a car and he was 50 miles away when cops finally caught up with him. Elliot Lincoln Binney, who had apparently admitted to taking a gulp of vodka just before the collision, was sentenced to 5 years in prison on Monday. He pled guilty back there in April, though Binney admitted to taking a drink of vodka and there was alcohol found in the car. Tulsa District Attorney Steve Kunzweiler told a judge there was, quote, no provable evidence beyond a reasonable doubt that he was driving his family while he was impaired. So even though the guy's like, yeah, I was drinking vodka and, they found a bottle of vodka in the car, they still couldn't charge him with DUI. But anyway, it doesn't matter. It looks like he's got a number of other charges he had to deal with. The prosecutor said that there were several unique circumstances in this case. Among them, Brittany Binney, Elliot Binney's wife, and Shelby's mother opposed her husband going to prison. So the wife who went through the windshield, the daughter got projected through the windshield. So the wife is now at trial with the husband and she's advocating for the husband. She's saying, he shouldn't go to jail. He shouldn't go to jail. This is a family where the dad thinks it's okay to just drink vodka right in front of the other kids, right? This is normal, kids. This is what grown-ups do. This is what grown-ups do. This is that family. So let's just start there. Let's just start that it's a family that's okay with watching dad rip vodka shots while they're driving, right? The wife is now saying he shouldn't go to jail. Though Binney admitted to taking a drink, but where's the thing about the wife? I'm sorry, I lost my place. All right, goes on to say here in the case, the district attorney said what was provable was his reckless driving, the death of his daughter, the injuries to his wife and children, and his leaving the scene. I don't know if it is illegal to leave the scene, but it's like there should be charges for just being a bad dad, right? There should be charges for that instinct. For him acting on that instinct to just get out of here while his family is bleeding out. He didn't even call 911. He just left. He just wrecked the car and left. Let's see. What was provable was his reckless driving, the death of his daughter, the injuries to his wife and children, and his leaving the scene. The prosecutor said there were several unique circumstances in this case. Among them, Brittany Binney, the wife and mother of the dead girl, opposed him going to prison. In her statement, Brittany Binney blamed bad weather conditions, not her husband's driving or the drinking of alcohol. My husband is not a violent or reckless person by any means. He was not intoxicated or under the influence of alcohol or any substance. He admitted that he was drinking vodka, and they found a vodka bottle in the car. I think your husband's always drunk. I think that's the thing. If you're a guy who has to, like with his family in the car, has to start doing pulls off a vodka bottle, and it's one of those little weird plastic ones, the cheap vodka, you're an alcoholic. I bet he's a functioning drunk. I bet you this guy is always drunk, and that has become the waterline for this family, so they don't think he's intoxicated because he's always fucking drunk. That's what alcoholics are. He's a loving and devoted father, and the loss of our daughter has devastated him, and that punishment will remain with him for the rest of his life. Yeah, well, when did that take? When did that hook in? Like a couple of months after he was charged? Because certainly in the moment, he didn't seem to give a fuck at all about his daughter, or you for that matter. Brittany Binney also said she was concerned about the impact a prison sentence for her husband will have on her other children. I bet it'll be great. I bet it'll be great that this guy is not an influence on these kids as they grow up. Seriously, this guy is driving and drinking vodka, open alcohol in the car like it's normal. That is such a white trash thing. I'm sorry. I'm just going to say it. That is trash. That is... Your kids see that you can't go for a car ride without having a shot? She says, the mom, she goes on to say that the kids, they have already suffered the unimaginable loss of their sister. They continue to grieve and struggle with the changes this family has, or this tragedy has brought to the family. And if their father is removed from their lives through a lengthy incarceration, they will experience another profound loss. See here. What else do we have? Authorities said the crash was due to dangerous driving in poor weather conditions, with Binney attempting to pass other vehicles on a rain-slicked roadway. Witnesses told police he was traveling at a high rate of speed and crossing into passing zones shortly before losing control. Investigators also found an open bottle of vodka at the scene, and Binney later admitted to drinking while driving with his family, telling police he took a gulp of alcohol moments before the crash. The fact that he's so casual and telling the cops that tells me that he thinks it's totally normal and not a big deal at all, because he does it all the time. The rest of us do not do that all the time. Well, I wasn't drunk. I mean, I took a swig of vodka, as we do. No, not as we do. But yeah, he freely admitted that. The case drew significant attention due to the circumstances of the crash and Binney's actions afterwards. Kunzweiler, that's the prosecutor, he described the case as deeply tragic, but said prosecution was necessary. You can't just do those kinds of things to another human being, even if it's your own child, he said. All right, there you have it. Worst dad ever. But I guess his face is all jacked up there because what? Because is that the injuries? Remember, he was arrested 50 miles away in another car, in another vehicle that he acquired from a business. What did he have, like 20 grand in his pocket, and he walked into a CarMax and bought a new car on the spot? I don't know how that works. I need details on that. Yeah. All right, here you go. This is pretty good. Maddie says anti-libfem says this whole thing reads to me like a woman who is also in a relationship with an abusive alcoholic. Women who are abused often defend their abusers. Yeah, that's a problem. That's a problem. That's very true. Yeah, I'm not against this too. There should be this additional charge is very funny. But just a guy who just drinks straight vodka from a bottle, that's an indication you're an alcoholic. Straight vodka. I mean, vodka is terrible. Alcohol in general is terrible, except for very specific circumstances. Like a really good scotch, just a little sip. That's a nice, enjoyable thing. But gulps of vodka while you're driving, you're an alcoholic. Sorry. You're an alcoholic. Let's see here. Frankie says, sounds like the guy is a person with an addiction issue. It sure does, Frank. He's a drunk. addiction issue. You know, he gave up the right for us to give him those flowery, titles. He's not a struggling alcoholic. He doesn't have addiction issues. He's a fucking drunk who killed his daughter. That's it. That's it. All right, let's see. What else do we have as we move forward? One more time in today's show, I do want to thank the people who have helped out so far in this Pledge Week. We call them this week's Pledge Week heroes, and there they are. Tracy D, Peter, Barney, and Mama B. Have you supported alternative talk lately? All right, let's move on. What else do we have? Let's see here. Moving on. Okay, let's do the screw scam. Okay, I don't know if you guys are familiar with this. It's a viral thing that is going around. People are. All right, here's how it works. Let me explain to you how the screw scam supposedly works. So when you pump gas, right? So you got the handle, you swipe your card, and you pull the gas pump out, you put it in your car, and you fill up your car. Okay, ching, 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 ching. The numbers go ching, 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 ching. You're filling up your car. You're done filling up your car. You pull the hose back out of the gas tank, and you place it right back in the cradle there, right? Right there in the cradle. The gas pump is supposed to stop at that point. You have shut the machine down by returning the handle back to its cradle. Well, apparently the internet would have you believe that there is a thing called the screw scam, where there is a way in which criminals, or sometimes they accuse the operators of the gas station. But there is a thing being shown on, Twitter and shit, where people are coming in and they're taking a screw and they are screwing a screw into the cradle where you rest the hose. What this screw supposedly does is keep the pump engaged. It doesn't end your session. Even though you will think your session is done and you have paid the gas, you will get in your car and you will drive away. That pump is still active. The next person, and again, theoretically, this is the criminal, is waiting nearby. And as soon as you pull out, they pull into that spot and that pump is still active, and then they fill up their tank. That's the screw scam. All right. Here, now we had it. Do we have a video? Maybe I give you an example of. Yes. Okay. So here's an example of how the video of how this scam has gone viral. Okay. Let me show it to you. This is a guy who is, in this particular case, he seems to be holding the people who run the gas station responsible. So let's see how this plays out. This is one example of the viral videos that are going around depicting the gas tank screw scam.
Yo. Take that the fuck out. You see it right there. You bloody mother.
Okay. So first of all, let's just get started here. The guy filming is a clickbait monster. He's just simply trying to create something that will go viral. And in the course of him achieving these goals, he's just fucking with another citizen. Who the hell is this guy to walk up to a guy who runs a gas station, throw the pump on the ground, and then make orders? What is wrong with us? Who is this narcissist that believes that this is his job? This is a real problem, man. And the idea of filming it so you can present yourself as the hero of the common man has poisoned so many people into acting like complete assholes. This guy who thinks he's saving the world from this screw scam is acting like an asshole. And don't for a minute think that he's doing this for the better good. He isn't. He is doing this for clicks. He thought this would be a cool way for him to get some traction.
Yo. Take that the fuck out. You see it right there. You bloody motherfucker!
What is this?
You know what that is?
No, what is this?
You know what the fuck that is? You know what the fuck that is? You're skimming my fucking car. Take that fucking shit out. Take the fucking shit out, or I'll get the cops. Take that fucking shit out. Take that fucking shit out. Take that fucking shit out right now. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you.
Of course, this is being presented by this particular account as another example of how the dirty immigrant is coming in. That's what this is about. Mostly, it doesn't concern the operators of the gas station. It's almost exclusively about con men waiting nearby. But in this particular case, this guy saw a bunch of brown people running the gas station and decided to make a video where he gets to show all his racist friends how these people are nothing but pieces of shit trying to take advantage of us.
Take that shit out right now. You see that fucking shit? You see that fucking shit? Take that out.
You talk like that.
All right, I'll get the cops. I'll get the cops. Who the fuck do you think you are?
Call the cop.
I'll call the fucking cops. Get him
Fuck
fucking
you.
guns. Get him cards, you motherfucker. You know damn well you're fucking getting fucking.
You them.
Yo, take that shit out.
This is not
Take
me.
this shit out.
You
I'll call
talk
the fucking
that.
gas company.
This is
I'll
not
call
me.
it.
My problem.
You know what the problem is? Take that shit out. You know exactly what the fuck
Fuck
is
you.
this. That's why you're so mad. That's why you're so fucking mad.
We fuck you.
I'll call Shell right now.
fuck you.
You don't know who you're fucking talking to. You don't know who you're talking
All
to.
right, it goes on for another minute.
Fuck out.
Trust me when I tell you, we ain't gonna be better people if we watch the next minute. It's just stupid. It's just more yelling back and forth. But okay, so let me show you another example of the screw scam. It's being covered here in Chicago. Just a couple of nights ago, I saw this. CBS Chicago here. They did a story on it. Let's watch this story about the viral screw scam that is going around. Hold on, here we go. Again, this is CBS. Again, an organization that we should not be watching any news from at any level, be it local or national. CBS is not legitimate news anymore. Anyway, here you go. Local CBS News in Chicago. Here, covering the pump situation. Oh, wait. Sorry. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. What's this one? Nope, that's not it. Oh, for crying out loud. Yeah,
alert the gas station
okay.
attendant immediately. A warning the next time you get gas. West Suburban North Lake police say scammers are trying to steal gas directly from your debit or credit card. Now here's how the trick works. Scammers jam a small screw into the gas pump's nozzle cradle. When you finish pumping your gas and hang the nozzle up, the screw blocks the lever from closing. The pump thinks you're still fueling. So once you drive away, a thief waiting nearby pulls up and fills their own tank using your card.
All right, so just so you understand what's happening here. So CBS News in Chicago is reporting about how the North Lake Police Department put a warning up on their official Twitter account referencing these viral videos and just telling people to keep an eye out, okay? North Lake Police are not saying that this is happening. North Lake Police are responding to the viral stuff, like the one we just saw. And CBS is now presenting it just to scare everybody like it's real. Why? Because it's a North Lake Police Department post, but the post is in reference to the viral thing. Now, is the viral thing real? I don't know.
Please say if you noticed a jam pump, alert the gas station attendant immediately. A warning the next time.
All right, so there you go. Now, why did I show all that? Because it's not real. It's not a real thing. This is another one of these internet scams that everybody thinks is real. Pumps have those screws in them. I watched a video. I don't want to show it to you because it's long, but pumps have those screws in them. Those screws are not foreign objects. They're there to hold the placeholder in. But, you know, one guy does a viral video and everybody believes him. And now everybody is going around looking at their gas pumps at their local gas stations to see if there's a screw there. They all have screws there. They all do. It's not a real thing. All right, so here's the myth being busted. Like I said, there's a bunch of stories ginning people up about the possibility of this happening. But quite honestly, it's not a real thing. All right, here we go. All right. Okay, so this comes from the Washington Post. Heard about the gas station screw method scam? Well, don't worry, because it's totally fake. Yet CBS News in Chicago is putting it out there. The North Lake Police Department is responding to a viral video and ginning up their people to now be aware of this. There is no proof that it's ever happened. It says it's the latest social media warning. police departments. Some are supposedly warning people of a new gas pump scam that is being that is being promoted on social media. Sorry, I lost my place. Here's how it goes. The scam involves fraudsters sticking a screw in the nozzle cradle of a gas pump so that the lever never fully returns to the off position. That supposedly presents the machine's mechanism from knowing the transaction is done and allows the scammer to pull up to the pump and fill up on someone else's dime. Now, let me ask you this. This is not how I do it. I don't just put it back in and get my car and go. I always recognize that the pump is done and that the sale is final. Who doesn't do that? So again, I don't know how this could actually work in the real world. It says here, the scam involves fraudsters sticking a screw in a nozzle cradle of a gas pump so that the lever never fully returns to the off position when you're done filling up. This supposedly prevents the machine from knowing the transaction is done and allows the scammer to pull up to the pump and fill up on your dime. And with the cost of gas topping $5 a gallon in many places, the screw method could hit you where it hurts. There's just one problem. It looks like the whole thing is totally made up. The gas pump screw method is a hoax, according to myth-busting website Snopes, which said it has yet to confirm a single case. In short, this was a viral hoax. The people and organizations promoting the unsubstantiated warning failed to cite any credible verified reports of criminals using screws to defraud consumers at gas pumps. Because of this, Snopes has rated the claim false. People who spread the rumor point to a social media post by Queen Anne's County, Maryland. So police in Maryland said that they were the department. All right. Yeah. Okay. So Queen Anne County in Maryland, the police department 2 weeks ago did exactly what Northlake did in Chicago, where Northlake said, hey, you be on the lookout for this. So the first one to do it was Queen Anne's County in Maryland. It says here that they were entirely responding to a viral video. There was no actual police reports made or anything. They just saw a video, and whoever's in charge of the Queen Anne police Twitter account went, oh, hey, this might be real, because those people are fucking idiots too. You know, everybody's a borderline idiot these days. So that's where it started. Queen Anne County Police and Sheriff's Office said criminals were carrying out this scam. The department then a week later updated its Facebook post to say that the reports were completely unfounded. Okay. Yet on Monday, by the way, that was last week. That was last week when the original police department who said that this was a thing, they say it's a thing. And then a week later, they say it's not a thing. So a week ago, the original police said it wasn't a thing. Yet Northlake police in Illinois was like, no, it might be a thing. I saw a video. And that was good enough for CBS News in Chicago to get everybody ginned up. But what bothers me is the fact that, yeah, did you see that video? Every gas station I go to is owned by a brown guy. I mean, it's just another way to get people angry and let them think that there's some, lesser member of the Avengers. They're going to go in and they're going to stand up for the community from these guys. It's not a real thing. It's not a real thing. The gas company, it says here, the major gas companies, they're like, yeah, this isn't a thing. That's not how the screw works. This is not even, but nobody knows how the gas pumps work. So when one guy puts out a video purporting to know exactly how these things work, those of us who don't know how they work go, well, he seems like he knows what he's talking about. This must be true. He doesn't know what he's talking about. It's the confidence of a gifted liar. That's what these people are. So don't you worry about the gas pump screw scam, and don't be yelling at some Indian guy who runs a gas station in your neighborhood, because it's not a real thing. Even the original police department who put it out there first, who started this whole thing, are now saying, yeah, that's not true. There's actually no evidence at all. But as long as you can scare people, as long as you can gin them up, boy, oh boy, I'll tell you. All right, guys, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to go get a cup of coffee. We're going to come back. We're going to wrap up this show. If you don't mind, please drop a little something in the Venmo or the Cash App. It is Pledge Week. One more time, a big shout out and a thank you to our Pledge Week heroes this month, I should say. Tracy D, Peter, Barney, and Mama B. Add your name to that list, please. Quick break, cup of coffee, bathroom. Come back. Give me 5 minutes, maybe even less, and we'll do more. All right, back with more. All right, here we go. Here we go. We are back. All right, that was pretty quick. Not too bad. All right, appreciate you indulging me. One more time, let's throw it out there to our Pledge Week heroes. Want to give them their name rec. Thank you so much. Tracy D, Peter, Barney, Mama B. Yeah. We are in a Pledge Week, so please help out if you can. Okay, let's get into one of my favorite subjects these days, Gen Z. I got one in the next room, and pretty much, pretty much worry about just about everything. But we're not the only ones, right? I mean, our parents worried about us. I was Gen X. We were slackers. My mother still worries about me, and she should, because, nothing's gotten much better. Things are coming. All right. So Gen Z is a topic that I'm fascinated by, because they are truly the most unique generation that we have ever had. Why are they unique? Well, they're unique because they're the first generation to grow up entirely in the digital era. Even millennials can't claim to be perfectly digital. Millennials straddle both eras. The analog era, before everything was on a phone and everything was instantly answerable and everything was within a button touch away, right? Millennials straddle that. They have, both of those, but they're not fully, not like Gen Z. Gen Z was born into a world where when they cried in the back seat, we shoved that first generation tablet. It worked. And as parents, we were like, wow, other parents, we don't have to hit our child, because we just give them a phone, right? And that's other parents. I'll smack you if you don't stop crying. No, not anymore. Now we just give them something shiny to look at, and it sort of mesmerizes them. We did that. The parents did that. We got our children, our Gen Z children, hooked. It wasn't their choice. We got them hooked on digitals and phones and all. And I say this particular generation of Gen Z is the canary in the coal mine, because I don't believe that there are 4-year-olds right now whose parents are, and not in the way that we did, with the Gen Z kids. I don't think there's a lot of 4-year-olds who parents are comfortable with giving them a cell phone there's more of an awareness, let's say that, because of the canary in the coal mine situation. There is more of an awareness for parents today of young kids to maybe limit screen time, all of these things that we never considered. So if you've got a 22, 20, 17, 16, 15-year-old kid, that kid's brain has been completely rotted by the digital experience, and we are the ones to blame, okay? So when we have these criticisms of the generation, really, let's be honest about it. It's not their fault. They didn't make these choices. We made these choices for them. This is similar to, do you remember when you would get the boomers? It was mostly boomers, but the boomers would look at the millennial generation. Let's go back to 1996, 1997, 1998. The boomers would look back at the millennial generation, and they'd have all kinds of complaints about the way they were being raised. Most notably, remember the whole, this generation, man, they're the participation trophy generation. And I always say, well, who the fuck do you think did that to them? Do you think that a 7-year-old planned his baseball banquet and decided that we've got the budget for, everyone to get a trophy? No, that was a decision made by adults, by people who were not millennials. So we often do this. We like to blame the generation for the things that the authority figures that generation came up under forced on them. And it's just easy. It's just another example of how we as human beings do not like to take responsibility. So when I talk about Gen Z, I am not talking about them like the little assholes making terrible choices. I'm talking about Gen Z as victims of what we didn't know. We didn't maliciously do this to them, but it happened to them. And it was because of choices that we made as parents, choices that made parenting easier for us. We had no understanding of what this could lead to. However, new generations do. So that is why I think that this one particular generation of Gen X, we may have broken them. We may have broken their ability to enjoy the real world. I told the example yesterday of sitting out on a beautiful night, looking up at the stars, watching airplanes land. And my kid was buried in his phone the whole time. I can't even go, oh, look at that. Oh, what does that cloud look like? Remember that old thing where you just sit with someone and hang out and look at the clouds and go, what does that one look like? And all of a sudden, look at you. You're connecting with someone. You don't do that anymore. It's just silence. It's just silence and him scrolling TikTok or whatever the fuck it is. Anyway, that's really troubling. Anyway, there are a number of things that this generation has sort of embraced that, well, it is their own choice, but I do think that these choices were led to these choices because of the way they live online. We've heard about looksmaxing, right? Looksmaxing has been something that I'd never heard that word before until like 6-8 weeks ago. And then all of a sudden, you got some teenager guy who's like a looksmax. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It doesn't seem like a really important thing. But again, the idea that Generation X is hyper-focused on the physical appearance, on how they look, on how they present. Why? Why is this? Why do you think looksmaxing and all of that is so important? Because they have no depth. This is the saddest thing about this generation. They have no depth. All they have is what you can see because they're the Instagram generation. Do you know that for like the first 5 years that I was in Dallas, I refused to take pictures? Some of you might remember that. Like every picture that was taken with me and Kelly had something obstructing my face and all of that. I don't know. I didn't, I don't like to see myself, right? So I don't know. I got over it because, you had to change that. This generation takes pictures of everything, and not just pictures of things. This generation obsessively takes pictures of themselves. This is a generation that seems to be very comfortable with taking incredibly cruel shots at each other for genetic whatever. Your nose is too big, you're ugly. Because this generation lives in an optics-driven world where they have to look a certain way, it has become way more important than it has to any other generation. Now, look, I'm not saying that Generation X people didn't want to be attractive, right? Everybody always wanted to be attractive because being attractive is better. But what I'm saying is there wasn't this sort of caste system really among your peers where you're one of the uglies, you're one of the attractive. That never existed to the extent that it does now. And I believe that it is driven by the idea that these people are taking pictures of themselves all the time. What they look like, what they present as, not who they are, not a question of their depth, nothing like that. No, it's just who they look. That's all they care about. Why? Because they've been broken. They've been broken by a phony digital world, not the real reality. They've been broken. The only thing that matters to them is how people see them. Are they hot or are they not? You can also fold in, the early to mid 2000s influencer rise of the Kardashians. I mean, it seems to me that every 17-year-old girl in America wants to be a member of the Kardashians. They all dress really glam and they're very vain. And my point is this: I can point out all these things about the Gen Z generation, of which I am a parent of one, but we cannot blame them. Again, let's not blame them. Okay. So now there is a new thing. We talked about looksmaxing. Actually, there's a number here. Let me go through. I pulled up a number of Gen Z obsessions, things that they're obsessing with. Of course, we talked about looksmaxing. That's the umbrella trend of optimizing one's physical attractiveness. This involves everything from casual skincare routine, to jawline surgery. They're also into a thing called prejuvenation. Now, I've seen this. I've seen this more and more, and I never know what it is. Like if I'm watching a television show or maybe something that depicts youth culture, I see this and I'm like, that's weird. Never seen that before. It's called prejuvenation. Have you ever seen like a young person wearing one of these red masks? They like wear these masks at like 15, 16, 17 years old because they're hoping, that they'll stay this youthful appearance. These weird masks, like the kind of thing that maybe, a couple of years ago you'd only see or you'd sell to like a 45-year-old woman. But now it's like 15-year-old boys wearing these masks. Prejuvenation is a hyper focus on preventative aging. Teen and young adults aggressively use red light therapy masks, preventative baby Botox, and active cosmetic ingredients to stop wrinkles before they can even start. Prejuvenation, a trend, because they care so much about how they look, not about how they think or how they feel or how they emote. No, they care about how they look. Surface, insignificant bullshit. We did this to them. They didn't choose this. Hair maxing. So we know looks maxing. How about hair maxing? This is using detailed multi-step oiling regimens, scalp massages, and derma rolling to maximize hair density. I'd also like to point out that all of these things are equally shared among Gen Z boys and girls. You would think this would just be a girl thing, right? No. And this is what's so odd to me. This is a boy thing. Boys, I pointed it out. We've got a vice president who wears eye makeup. I called this out years ago, and everybody was like, that's not a big deal. If he was a Democrat, it would be something you'd want him in prison for. But because J.D. Vance wears eyeliner, it's okay. It's okay. Anything these guys do is okay. It's not okay. It's not okay for men to wear makeup, okay? Just not. Look, if you're a rock star, that's fine. You're an actor, whatever. You need makeup for TV cameras. That's fine. That's different. But these men, there are men who are going around wearing eyeliner regularly now. It ain't just J.D. Vance, although J.D. Vance is a little bit old for it. See, that seems a little bit weird. But yeah, guys, and I feel for my son because my son is a boy. He is 100% boy. He would wear, yesterday, it was like 90 degrees here on the south side. He wears the same uniform every day, sweatpants and a black hoodie. That sweatpants and a black hoodie. He's got the modern Gen Z haircut where it's just like a bird's nest on top. But I don't know. He's my son. So I think he's very attractive. And, he's a good looking boy. His mother's gorgeous. He's got his mother's looks. But I worry about him. Like, I don't want him coming in 3 years going, I need to get chin surgery because my jawline. All right. So hair maxing, we've covered that. Also, there's a bunch of these lifestyle things. You know what solo maxing is? Solo maxing is ditching expensive traditional dating culture in favor of solo dates, hyper budgeting, and investing money in individual self-care. So only caring about yourself. Solo maxing, that's good. We used to call that selfishness, but now it's solo maxing. Selfishness has been rebranded for a generation that knows nothing but. Aura points. Do you know what aura points are? I don't know. Aura points. Treating personal reputation and style as video game currency. Zoomers joke about gaining or losing aura points based on how cool, awkward, or mysterious they act in public. Performative matcha. I don't know, what is matcha? Isn't that tea or something? Here's something else in there. Performative matcha. Buying and preparing high-grade matcha strictly for the aesthetic. Slow living morning ritual and filming it for social media clout. All right, I don't know what any of that is. So there's just a number of weird things that they're doing, but I want to talk about Tanmaxxing. Here's a video. This is the latest thing, and this is the one that, doctors always have issues with whatever new trends kids are embracing, but this one is kind of legitimate. For years and years, we learned so much about the dangers of the sun, skin cancer, and all of this stuff. You have to protect yourself. If you remember back in the 60s and the 70s, do you know that my mother and the women in my family used to rub cooking oil on their skin? Butter. People would rub butter on their skin in the 70s and then just lay in the sun and cook. And of course, 30 years later, skin cancer rates are like insane. So the generation that grew up in the 90s, not me, I didn't grow up in the 90s, but that generation was made far more aware of the dangers of the sun. And so sunblock became a big thing. Do you know that in the 1970s, and maybe early 80s, when I was a little kid in the summertime, severe blistering sunburns were regular things for me. I would get a severe sunburn 2-3 times a summer back when I was a little kid. I haven't had a sunburn in 25 years. And if you know me, I've been living at Lake Louisville the last 3 summers. Not a single sunburn. Why? Because suddenly I'm using, sunblock, the good stuff. We are more aware of these dangers, but the concern now among Gen Z is that they are completely poo-pooing all of that because they like the idea of having the perfect bronze tan, because that fits in, I guess, with the whole looks-maxing kind of thing. So let me show you this guy. Here's an example of a Tanmaxxer.
How much?
This guy. All right, this is a Tanmaxxer. This is what it looks like, and this is what they're doing. So this new generation, after a couple of generations of people who were really smart about exposure to the sun, this new generation is just going, that's stupid old people stuff, being afraid of the sun. Here's what it looks like in real time. Here we go.
How much can you tan in half an hour? Testing this on my leg.
Oh, so how much can you? So how much can you tan in a half hour? That's what this guy's trying to do. He's going to cook himself as much as he can for a half hour for clicks. I don't know what the skin cancer diagnosis in 10 years is going to be. I don't know if that'll be for clicks. Maybe he'll be able to do a tearful, I can't believe I did this. He'll get kicks. He'll probably be able to turn some clicks out of his cancer diagnosis.
How much can you tan in half an hour? Testing this on my leg with a 20-cent coin. The current UV is 11.2, considered extreme. So much sweat. I'm absolutely cooking. Here we are, half an hour done. Let's have a look.
So these are the results. You can see the outline of the coin pretty clearly, and as the day went on, it got stronger and stronger. So it just goes to show that's
all right, there you go. That's an example
Testing this.
of a popular Tanmaxxer. They are competing for tans. And there is absolutely no attention paid to any kind of preventative, no sunblocks, no nothing. Only things that will accelerate the discoloring of your skin due to sunlight. Those are the only things that they're about. All right, so here's the story. This is USA Today. They put this out. This is from yesterday's USA Today. It says they grew up hearing about skin cancer, but now they're Tanmaxxing. Yeah. Let's see. It's a tick that says it originated on TikTok, but tanfluencers. Oh, really? We're calling it tanfluencers. All right. Gen Z grew up hearing the warnings about skin cancer and tanning beds and the importance of sunscreen. Yet now some are ignoring all those years of sun-safe education because it seems the summer of Tanmaxxing is upon us, and some young people are going to extreme lengths to chase bronze skin. TikTok's For You page is full of young tanfluencers using apps to track UV index windows, documenting their sun exposure, and trying tanning pills. While having a summer... See, is this also like a young person who's 17 years old, who may have grown up and come of age in the last 10 years of American life, which has been an extremely radicalized 10-year period of the way Americans interact with one another. So let's say you're 17 and you were 7 when this all started. So all you've really known as you've come to be aware of the world is this insane kind of thing we've been dealing with, right? Okay, so now you're 17. You trust nothing. So when people say, you need to be careful of the sun because of all that we've learned about skin cancer, that's just more bullshit. That's like, it's probably nothing. It's probably all just bullshit. That's another thing we've done to this generation. We have completely destroyed all the institutions. They have no bedrock for their feelings or their worldview. There is no foundational, everything is suspect and everything is a con. That's the world that they live in. So when you tell them to worry about skin cancer, they're like, yeah, whatever. Did you see how hot I looked on TikTok? It seems the summer of Tanmaxxing is upon us. While having a summery glow has always been an American beauty standard, experts are now concerned that this viral trend, everything viral is bad, is setting back efforts to inform young people about sun safety. It's terrifying, says Dr. Shireen Timor, a board-certified dermatologist in New York. It's essentially tanning culture that's kind of getting a new Gen Z rebrand without any of the guardrails. It says here, a little Summer burn goes a long way. One Tanmaxxer captioned a video with the text Sunmaxxing playing over a trending audio of a Justin Bieber song. Other posts with the hashtag TanTalk to show off tan lines, share tanning bed prep routines, and how to use tanning stickers. I don't know what that is. What are tanning stickers? For 25-year-old, I don't care. We're not going to go into these stories. I don't need any more details. We've got pretty much all the stuff we need to know about Tanmaxxing and how now the next thing we got to worry about with our kids is that they don't believe in sun cancer. Sun cancer. Why that's not a thing. They don't believe in skin cancer. Gen Z. All right. Tanmaxxing. Be on the lookout. If you're like got a daughter and she's like suddenly getting really tan, you probably have a talk to her about sun safety because they're not following any of that. Oh, they'll just roll their eye. Oh yeah, you know. Oh yeah, right. Another lie. All right. Let's see. What else do we have here? Let's move on. I want to talk about this. I saw this morning. I thought this was pretty cool. Now, I love to hip you to new movies that are coming out. The Social Network is one of my favorite movies. David Fincher, written by Aaron Sorkin. There is a sequel to The Social Network. And not being called necessarily a sequel, more a continuing of the story. This film, also written by Aaron Sorkin, and this time directed by Aaron Sorkin. When this film was originally pitched, Aaron Sorkin and David Fincher were going to reteam, but David Fincher is now doing the Cliff Booth story for Quentin Tarantino. So Fincher's out and Aaron Sorkin is going to write and direct this one, which is fine. He's directed before. The film stars, it's called The Social Reckoning. Remember what was the first one called? The Social Network? Yeah, the first one was called The Social Network. This continuation of the story from the same writer, Aaron Sorkin, is called The Social Reckoning. This film stars Mikey Madison as Frances Haugen. I don't know if you remember a number of years ago, Frances Haugen was the woman who worked inside Facebook, who was a whistleblower, who basically exposed all of the internal memos among Facebook management about how they knew all of this bad stuff was going on and they didn't care because they were making money. I'm old enough to remember the day. Do you remember the days when everybody with gray hair, a suit, who came through the Vietnam era, every single one of those people told you for years that there was no way that Facebook could ever make any money. There's how are they going to make money? I wouldn't invest in that. Remember that? I remember looking at that like 2010, whatever. They'll never make money. These social media platforms will never make a dime. Now they're all advertising. Now they're making money hand over fist. All right, here we go. Let's go back to the story. So The Social Reckoning has a pretty great cast, and I want to talk about this for a minute here. Mikey Madison, who I love. She started out on that FX show, and then she won an Oscar for that. I don't know, what was the movie she did last year? I don't know. She won an Oscar. She's an Oscar-winning actress, Mikey Madison. She's like 22 years old. She's an Oscar-winning actress. And she's good, is my point. So she plays Frances Haugen. Frances Haugen is the Facebook whistleblower who went to the press. Jeremy Strong. Jeremy Strong is playing the grown-up Mark Zuckerberg, right? Okay, so Jeremy Strong from Succession, I guess that's where most people first saw him pop, although Jeremy Strong has been just killing it as an actor in little side roles for years before he played Kendall Roy on Succession and started winning all kinds of awards. He played Roy Cohn in the Donald Trump film, The Apprentice, from a couple of years ago. His portrayal of Roy Cohn, oh my God, incredible. Jeremy Strong is also known as one of the most difficult actors in Hollywood. He is way method. He is way staying in character. He's difficult. He plays Mark Zuckerberg. He plays the grown-up Mark Zuckerberg. And I got to tell you, watching this trailer, holy shit. I need to start talking about Jeremy Strong when we start throwing out the names of the greatest living actors, because this guy keeps knocking it out of the park. He's incredible. All right, so it's Mikey Madison, Jeremy Strong, Jeremy Allen White, Bill Burr, Billy Magnuson, who I love. I don't know if you know who Billy Magnuson is. He's not a big star, but I love him and everything. It's called The Social Reckoning, and it takes up the story of the social network. Takes up the story during the congressional hearings and the investigation into what they knew. So let me show you the new movie by Aaron Sorkin. I guess it's coming out in October. The official trailer was released today. It looks good. And I need to point out, check this out. Jeremy Strong really looks like Mark Zuckerberg, but he sounds like Mark Zuckerberg even more. Incredible. Here it is. This is a new trailer, The Social Reckoning. I think it's coming out in October. Mikey Madison here in this scene with Jeremy Allen White.
Listen, before I go on, I want to make something clear.
Okay.
I have a hunch you're not a fan of Facebook. But I am. I am here to help Facebook, not hurt it, okay?
You sent me a message. What would you like to talk about?
The chairman gavels the session to order. You'll read your opening statement, which we'll skip past for now. That's a separate session. And we'll move to witness questioning.
Spell your name and state your current occupation for the record.
MARKZUCKERBERG.
And your occupation?
I'm a professional defendant.
I ran classifiers on political groups where 30% of content hits multiple risk factors.
Hang on, I don't understand what you're saying.
Aren't you a tech reporter?
Ish.
Ish?
These guys are counting on the next round of congressional testimony to make you likable, Mark. I'm happy to lend a hand, but I think you're doomed.
This company and that guy are playing an unprecedented role in our lives.
The fire hose of bad information you are injecting into the air supply is becoming jet-powered.
I'm a free speech absolutist. I'm not the one who's lying, and I'm not stopping them from seeing someone who is.
Anxiety, depression of teenage girls got worse as a result of time spent on the platform.
Senior leadership knows and is doing nothing.
I know there are easier enemies to make.
The Mafia would be an easier enemy to make.
So what would you need?
To stand up the story, the internal documents.
This is a material violation of my NDA.
We're twice as big as the biggest country on Earth. We're not fighting with Congress. We're post-government around here.
Please, let me quote that.
We have 102 hours to get everything.
She's going to get sued into small pieces.
I don't want to be made an example of by a guy with unlimited resources.
Harm, I promise you, is imminent.
People around here understand that when I say no, that's the end of the debate. I'm not 2 years out of a dorm room anymore, Charlie. Look around.
I don't know what the girl thinks she's doing. She's disrupting.
Look, there are very few things anymore that I am interested in. I've told you this all the time. I can't, anything new, I try to watch it and I lose interest after 20 minutes. That looks fascinating. Aaron Sorkin's The Social, what's it called again? The Social Reckoning comes out in October. Mikey Madison, Jeremy Strong, Jeremy Allen White, Bill Burr. We saw Billy Magnus in there. That looks really good. Okay, so a couple other things I wanted to mention, a few things that I'm watching that I wanted to put on your plate. I won't bore you with the trailers, but there are two new documentaries. One is on HBO Max and the other is on Peacock, and I want to give you my reviews of both of them. The first one we'll talk about on HBO Max. There is a brand new, really in-depth documentary on Earth, Wind, and Fire. Now, if you're a fan of Earth, Wind, and Fire, and I am, it is great. They were so weird. Maurice White was such a weird guy. I mean, he's a space alien, metaphysics, all this stuff. Anyway, it's really interesting. If you like 70s funk and 70s soul, and you recognize Earth, Wind, and Fire as one of the greatest bands in history, this is a really fun documentary and you can enjoy it. It's the Earth, Wind, and Fire story there on HBO Max. Brand new documentary. I watched it. I loved it. And Peter will. I know Peter will like it because Peter's a music guy. It's so interesting. Earth, Wind, and Fire talks about how they became Earth, Wind, and Fire. They became the Earth, Wind, and Fire that we all know because they were like an avant-garde, almost jam band back in the mid-70s. but they played a show. They played one show in Philadelphia where they opened for George Clinton and P-Funk, and they got absolutely destroyed. Like George Clinton came out there and just blew Earth, Wind, and Fire away. And it was after that show where they looked at each other and said, yeah, we need to do that. We need to be different. Anyway, it's really interesting, the Earth, Wind, and Fire story. A band that there isn't a whole lot of legend and legacy about. So to see it all sort of crammed together in this story, very cool. The other one that I want to mention that I think everybody will enjoy, at least people who enjoy comedy, Peacock. Peacock has finally released their Lorne Michaels documentary. It's called Lorne. It's about, it's almost 2 hours long or whatever. And it attempts to get to know the enigma, which is Lorne Michaels, who is probably at this point the single most important individual in the history of American comedy. I don't know anyone else who could, say that they have more stripes, more pelts, more whatever than Lorne Michaels does. And he's truly enigmatic. Like, even the people who are his closest friends, they don't know anything about him. Like, nobody knows where he was born. Some people think he was born in Israel. Other people say, no, he was actually born in Canada. And then the other people say, no, he was born in Israel and then he moved to Canada. He's very, very weird about, all of that stuff. So it's really funny. It is chock full of every big star of the last 50, 60 years in America. And most of them are very close friends with Lorne. And they all tell you, yeah, I don't know him at all. Paul Simon, Paul Simon, Simon and Garfunkel. Paul Simon is probably Lorne Michaels' best friend. 50 years ago, I think it was 50 years ago, they both bought apartments right next to each other, like in the same building in New York. Like, could you imagine your best friend lives right across the hall? And Lorne Michaels talks about how he wakes up every morning and the first thing that he does is that he leaves his apartment and walks into Paul Simon's and starts working out because Paul Simon's got a better gym than he does. I mean, it's just very interesting. Also, another little fun fact that we learned about Lorne from the Lorne documentary there on Peacock. He and Paul Simon. Do you guys, I don't know if you remember, I remember how big this was. And I remember because the radio station that I listened to somehow was doing big promotion for it. But I think it was in the late 80s, maybe 87, 86, 89, somewhere in there. You could probably easily check online. But do you remember the Paul Simon album, Graceland? Going to Graceland, Memphis, Tennessee. It was like Paul Simon's comeback smash. That album won Album of the Year. It had a whole bunch of #1 hits. Graceland by Paul Simon is now in the great canon of Paul Simon music, is certainly one of the more important additions. Now, what I did know about that, because I've heard Paul Simon give interviews about the inspiration for that album, and I knew that it was because he took a trip to Graceland. He decided one summer that Paul Simon was just going to go and pay homage to Elvis Presley, and the album came out of that experience. What I never knew was that it was Lorne Michaels' idea and that Lorne was the guy with him. So Lorne and Paul Simon just took a summer off and decided to travel around the South, and they spent a significant amount of time in Memphis, just Paul Simon and Lorne Michaels. And that's where the Graceland album came out of. It's just interesting little things. Anyway, I cannot recommend highly enough, if you're like me, if you love the real stories, the documentary kind of view of these pop culture things, 2 really good new documentaries. The Earth, Wind, and Fire story, Earth, Wind, and Fire story on HBO Max, and Lorne. It's just called Lorne. It's really funny. It is really funny because they take you, Chris, I can't explain it. It is a really unique way of creating a documentary about a guy who has agreed to do Lorne Michaels has agreed to participate in the documentary, but he doesn't want to. So the whole film is basically the camera chasing Lorne Michaels around the set of Saturday Night Live during production week, and then just talking to everybody else about how hard it is to get Lorne Michaels to sit down and talk. And whether it's Michael Che and Colin Jost or Tina Fey and Jimmy Fallon or Steve Martin or Bill Murray or any of these people, they all say the same thing. Yeah, good luck with that. He's going to do a documentary? What do you think, he's going to answer questions? Anyway, it's very interesting. Lorne on Peacock and the Earth, Wind, and Fire story on HBO Max. What do you say we do 3 vids? 3 vids. Every day we end the show with 3 pieces of video that I've seen online that I want to talk about. So here we go. How about this one? This is a time lapse. Haven't really mentioned the reflecting pool story, but apparently President Trump is doing something to the big memorial reflecting pool. So we've got a time lapse of the changes to the reflecting pool. Of course, if you don't like Donald Trump, you're going to be, you hate the fact that he's doing anything to the reflecting pool. And if you're a normal person, you don't give any thought at all to the reflecting pool. What? Anyway, here's a time lapse of the reflecting pool. Again, Trump is being heavily criticized for his redoing of it. On the top, I guess you see where we are now, right? June of 2026. On the bottom is where we were when last year, or just a couple of months ago. Okay, so the top is the finished product, and the bottom is what it was before. Let's watch this as it. Okay, here's the changes. All right, so they drained it. There you go. Drained it. They put a different color liner on the bottom, which is why the water now looks different, which has got a lot of people completely freaked out. It's supposed to be green. I don't know. It's supposed to be blue. It's water, right? All right, here we go. And it's almost finished there. Whoa, okay. There it is. Look at that. Okay, there's the finished product. Now, you know me, I don't like Trump. I don't like that guy. I think he's but why is this? This is when I say we need to stop being distracted by the petty shit. Why is this a big deal? That he's doing some changes, that he's fixing some things, and I don't even know if it's him. Why is it him fixing it? Isn't this a normal process, a part of maintaining our national monuments and stuff? Don't we have to fix them sometimes? Now, the ballroom is a completely different issue, and the tearing apart of the lawn is another issue. That's different. But this is just the maintenance of a fountain that probably, or whatever it's called, the reflecting pool. This is just the maintenance that, I would think would be standard, and maybe it was just time to fix it. So why is this another big example of what a terrible President Trump is? I can give you 10 off the top of my head that are more relevant to our everyday lives than just being petty and criticizing him for fixing a fountain or whatever. There you have it. Time lapse. I saw absolutely no difference other than the color, the complexion, I suppose, of the water. In the beginning, it was more of like green water, and now it's blue water, and that's got people very angry. All right, that's video number 1. Here's a video that I like. This is an old video. This, I think it's old. I feel like I've seen this before, but I saw it last night, and I went, oh, why not? We'll show this. There's some things to talk about here. This is a situation where a young man starts running his mouth. This is what I'm telling you. The generation that was raised on the Discords and the chats and Reddit and social media and Instagram. This generation doesn't really understand how volatile the real world is. So here's an example of a young man, thinking he's talking shit on whatever it is they talk shit on. And he says it to the wrong guy. Here you go. Look at this kid. He's talking shit, screaming at some guy. He's like, yeah, what are you, tough guy? Come on. And this guy walks up and bam! Oh, jeez. Not saying it's right. I'm saying this happens. And you need to be aware that this happens. And I'm not sure that a kid who has been a keyboard jockey his whole life is really aware that when you take the keyboard away and you say this shit to a real person in real life, sometimes you run across some fucked up people who have no compunction about breaking your jaw and spending the next couple hours in prison or jail. They don't care. Those people are out there. You may not run into them there on your little Twitters or your TikToks, but they are out there, young man. And you better watch who you run your mouth to, because this is the kind of thing that happens. Look at him. And this guy, by the way, also doesn't look like an insane thug. He just looks like a man. He's probably 40 years old. This kid is obviously arrogantly jawing at him. Look at him. He's leaning. He's flexing. He's really taunting this guy like there's a keyboard between them. Like there is nothing stopping this man from going, are you kidding me? You're going to talk to me this way? And again, I'm not saying physical violence is right. Please don't get it twisted. I am not advocating for what this guy did. I am simply pointing out that that guy doing that thing was always on the table. And this kid in the Laker jersey never considered that that was on the table. Those of us who were raised in the real world know you don't run your mouth to strangers unless you're 100% certain that you can back it up. I don't think this kid thinks that it's ever going to come to physicality. He's like, come on. He just calls him over and he flexes at him. He's got his buddies with him. He's a smart, boom, right? Leads with his chin. See, that kid never in a million years, that kid has seen that a whole bunch of times. Was it, come on, you stick your chin out. Come on, will you pussy? Hit me. This kid never considered that there is a class of people raised in a different time who will fucking knock you out. He never considered that. Never considered it. Doesn't live in that world. He's got a keyboard that usually protects him from all that kind of stuff. All right, there you go. I love it. He is out cold too, man. He got dropped. And I just love it when an old man, not an old man, but I love it when a grown man can shut up a little. Why? Because I've got a 17-year-old. I got a 17-year-old who could whip my ass. So that's not in the cards for me. All right. And finally, let's leave you with something that brings a smile to everyone's face all the time. This is another oldie but a goodie, but I felt like we needed this today. Who's up for a Corey Feldman guitar solo? Anybody? Anybody? Here we go. Corey Feldman with guitar solo. Let's listen and see. Oh, we can't even hear it? Well, maybe that's for the best, actually. Corey Feldman cannot play guitar well. Okay, Corey Feldman can play the guitar. Not like he plays the guitar like his sister's boyfriend plays the guitar. You know, he's like a noodle, but he's so desperate to be the center of attention the way he was when he was 15 years old or whenever the hell the Coreys and the Coreys were running everything. He's so desperate for it that he puts these things out here where he is standing in front of a crowd and he is playing a guitar solo and he thinks it's good. Why does he think it's good? Because everybody that he surrounds himself with are paid by him. The people in his band, producers, the music writers, they need to make sure that he thinks that he can do this, because if he decides that, oh, maybe this isn't for me, then they're out of a job. They're out of a job. So all of these people who tour with him, who make money for that, not a lot of money, of course, but when you're a musician, you'll take any steady gig you can. So I am telling you, everyone is telling him he's good and he believes it. So he gets up in front of people and look at the confidence and look at the facial expressions. This guy is the most, well, I'm not going to say the most unaware person, but he's certainly highly self-unaware. I feel like I could do that. I feel like I could do this. Where is the tone? Where is the note? Where is the melody? He's just. Gotta get the whammy going, because that means you know what you're doing. Just like Hendrix. All right, there you have it. Corey Feldman. Oh, that poor guy. Could you imagine, could you imagine going on a long car ride with Corey Feldman, where it's just you and him in the back seat? Like, other people are driving, but you got to sit in the back seat. You're going to Florida. You got to sit in the back seat with Corey Feldman. Do you have any idea how irritating that guy was probably? Just everything is got to be about him. And you're like, dude, you're like a national joke. You haven't been famous in 30 years. Why do you think I should be impressed? He's unaware. Corey Feldman, there you have it. The worst guitar solo ever. It was deemed. I don't know if that's the case. I don't know if it's the worst guitar solo ever, but it Certainly wasn't great. All right, guys, thank you so much for being here with me. I appreciate you letting me indulge myself at the beginning of the show with my Can't Beat Fun at the Old Ballpark. That's right. We usually end the show with Can't Beat Fun at the Old Ballpark, but today we did it at the beginning because I'm just completely obsessed with the new White Sox right fielder, Braden Montgomery. Incredible. By the way, I'll leave you with this. I forgot. Did I mention this? I don't know if I talked about this at the beginning. So Braden Montgomery is like a kid. He's like a young kid. And he's really seems like a really nice kid, like really well-spoken and all of that. And he's gregarious and, all the things that you want in a budding superstar, which we hope he will become, but who knows? First game, pretty good. We'll see. So I told you about how it was 80s night, and because of this, you had Bob Costas doing the home run call, right? So that's kind of cool for this kid in his first Major League Baseball game to have this incredible walk-off late inning moment and have forever that moment in his career. No matter what he does, he could go on to be the greatest baseball player of all time. We will always have record of the first home run that he ever hit. And this kid has Bob Costas doing the call. Bob Costas hasn't done a call like this for a baseball player in probably 10, 15 years. But it was nice. It was nice that it lined up that way. So in the post-game interview, they were gangbanging him, where they're all asking him questions. Braden, what do you think of the Braden? What do you think, Braden? What do you think? And one of the reporters said to Braden Montgomery, one of the things that I'm not sure you're aware of, but pretty cool that your first home run ever in the big leagues, you received the Bob Costas classic Major League Baseball call on that. And Braden Montgomery smiled, tilted his head back, and said, it's just, it's surreal. I can't believe that happened. I just came up to the plate and I just saw it and it went out. And that was it. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, he doesn't know who Bob Costas is. He's a kid. He doesn't know who Bob Costas is. Otherwise, he'd go, yeah, that is pretty special. I think that's great. He has no idea. Probably later on that night, after his dad gave him a call, his dad was there in the stands going crazy. His dad probably called him and went, do you know that Costas called your home run? And they're going to be like, yeah, who is that? Somebody mentioned. It's funny. And I know that's probably the case because my son is 17 years old and we watched the whole game last night and he didn't know who Bob Costas was. I had to tell him. That's Costas, man. That guy was like, before we had, digital access to every game everywhere, when it was a big thing, Bob Costas was the guy. Olympics, World Series, Super Bowls, whatever, Bob Costas. He was the voice. He was the moderator of sports, big sports events in America for a good 20, 25 years. And it was so much fun to hear him last night at the White Sox game. All right. Thank you, folks. I appreciate you hanging out with me tonight. We will, of course, come back tomorrow and do it all again at noon. One more time, I'd like to thank our heroes of Pledge Week. What names shall we add to this for tomorrow? Because we will be adding names, hopefully. We got Tracy D. Thank you, Tracy. Peter, Barney, and Mama B. Yeah, I know. That's only 4 people who have supported this show this month. That's okay. I'm sure we'll get there. But thank you to you for it. You guys really, you have no idea. All right, we're out of here. I got a bunch of other stuff to do, so we'll do that, and then we'll be back tomorrow. Noon. I promise we'll do noon tomorrow. You know what's weird? The last couple of shows, they've been starting at 12:15. I don't know what's happening. Before, shows used to start pretty routinely at noon. I mean, I know 12:05, 12:10, but not like, I would get in here because never mind, stupid story. I'm just going to wrap it up. Point is, I should have more time in the morning now. and I'm not. I'm not budgeting my time properly. All right. You guys want to help out the show? That's how you do it. All right, I got to go. We'll be back tomorrow. I love you guys. Be good to each other. Remember what we say around here. Stay neighborly.